Labor Day is a day when we celebrate the achievements of working women and men and look at how we built the province together. Because it's not Gordon Campbell that built this province, it's us together who have built this province and made the achievements that we have made. But on a day like today, we also have to look at whether Gordon Campbell is listening to the working women and men of this province. And I think most people would agree that he isn't. He is. What he's done recently is brought in a wage increase for top public servants. The top public servant is getting a $100,000 wage increase. He announced that. He knew it was wrong to do. He didn't have the guts to show up to tell people that he was doing it. He announced it on the day that the Olympics opened in Beijing. You haven't got a $100,000 wage increase. Your costs have gone up. And on top of that, Gordon Campbell, after no debate in the legislature, with a wag of the finger, has whacked on the carbon tax, which adds to the cost of fuel and the cost of doing business and reduces the amount of wages and profits that independent truckers now in CAW make. So he's not listening to working women and men on this day, on Labor Day, no more than any other day. Over 300,000 people in the province earn less than $10 an hour. It hasn't been increased, and a government has refused, after request and legislation. Carol James, our leader, introduced a bill in the House asking the government to do that. They've ignored that, they've brushed it aside. They aren't listening to working women and men on that issue either. So on this day, on Labor Day, I think we have an opportunity to celebrate, but I think we have an opportunity to make some big change in this province, and we're looking forward to doing that in May 2009. So let's, I guess, hit the gas here and head out. Thanks very much.
Raising the minimum wage incrementally from time to time is what every Labour minister does in this country. 6 years it's taken for all the other Labour ministers in Canada to adjust their minimum wage to catch up with British Columbia, and almost every one of them has done so within the last few months. So we're all grouped very tightly together, and making a big change to that would actually stop the economic machine that we've got going in these.
The second issue, and that is the issue of Gordon Campbell and the Liberals, and what they think of you as working people, what they think of our society and the society we live in. And the truth is, they don't appear to be in touch with or give a good goddamn about our society. When they can give 43% increases to senior bureaucrats in Victoria, when they can give 54% increases to themselves. Campbell himself took a 54% increase, and they can't raise the minimum wage to $10. They have left it at $8 since the first year of this mandate, which is 8 years ago. Not only that, I suspect a number of you might have young people that are just coming up and getting into the workforce. $6 an hour for a young worker for the first 500 hours. And in most cases, that's the only hours they get because they lay that worker off and they bring somebody else in. So we have to send a message to these guys that we're not willing to put up with this BS anymore. That we work hard and that we deserve something that comes out of this society, and we are going to demand that. And with that in mind, what we're looking at is 4 demands that we're talking about today, and that the BC Federation of Labour is going to take forward, and that we're going to work at with our allies, the New Democrats in Victoria, and we're going to make damn sure that we bring some of these things about. And I want to just identify what they are. Gordon Campbell must immediately end the $500 million subsidy to oil and gas industry in this province. $500 million that they just give these companies as if they're not making enough money. Number 2, Gordon Campbell demand that Stephen Harper implement a national windfall profit tax of 25% on that oil and gas industry. They're making record profits. Let's see some of it come back so we can train and educate our people, so we can find ways of perhaps creating energy that doesn't cost half as much as it's costing today, and so that they can help the average working British Columbian, as well as obviously the truckers and anybody that needs to spend time on the roads, reduce the amount of money they have to spend on gas. I know it's killing you. Number 3, Gordon Campbell must establish the BC Citizens Energy Fund. to help middle and low-income earners cope with fuel costs and provide incentives to lower overall energy use. More public transportation and upgrades for buildings, and there has to be public insight into that. It's not something that's done in Victoria behind closed doors by his ministers. We have to have public insight. You and I have every right to be involved in those discussions. And finally, and this is huge I'm sure for you folks, immediately kill the punitive carbon tax. We need to get rid of that. That has to go. So those are four of the things that we're looking at working on today. We're going to continue to talk about Campbell being out of touch. The man was in China watching the Olympics on a Friday afternoon when he announced massive increases for senior servants. Massive increases. He wasn't even here to answer the bell on that one. He was away hiding someplace. It's just not acceptable. In this province, 300,000 British Columbians earn less than $10 an hour. Now, who can live on $10 an hour? It just isn't acceptable. So we're going to continue to fight for that one, and we want to make sure, lastly, that Campbell understands. There's an election coming, and it's coming in probably about 7 months. And we're going to be there, and we're going to demand changes from this government. And if we don't get the changes we need, maybe, just maybe, we'll change this government. So I want to thank you all for coming out today. It's really, really important. You guys are the leaders of this convoy. You guys are putting your time and your effort and obviously your money into it as well, because it ain't cheap to get downtown and back. I want to thank you, and I want to hand it over to Paul for 2006 of the CAW. Paul, take it on, brother.
Coming up, traffic and weather together on the ones, and we'll find out more about that convoy heading along the east-west connector and headed towards the downtown.